I'll send you the link. Thank you, Blessing, for recording. So I'll send you the link to the guide I was trying to make you watch last week, and I'll send you a couple of other videos about social entrepreneurship. But today, what I'll be covering in class is developing a business model Canva, which is which is um, which is not hard. It's just something very simple. So, what does social entrepreneurship means? Social entrepreneurship is basically the the it's a model that allows you to make impact, but instead of having to ask for donations or having to depend on grants and all of those things, social entrepreneurship allows you to make as much money as possible to sustain the impacts that you're making. So you can see social entrepreneurship as a normal business enterprise, but the difference between a social enterprise and a business enterprise is that a business enterprise, when you make the money, you can share profit, you can take the profit as the owner of the business. But in a social enterprise, the you're only making that money to continue or to expand the mission of the organization. So in another sense, it looks like donation, but in this sense, people are getting value back for the money they are donating to your organization. You're offering a service to them, you're selling something to them, and you're receiving money back. But that money should still be treated as a like a donation in terms of accountability and reporting and what it is used for. Now, when you have an organization or when you have a social enterprise, it is okay for you to have a salary that you collect. It's okay for your team members to also have salary. In fact, as a non-profit organization, if you're not part of the board members, you should have a salary. The law in Nigeria only prohibits people that are on your board of trustees not to get paid, but as you yourself, you can get salary, even from grants, even from the money that the donations that you collect. So it is legal for you to get salary. So you can get salary, but you cannot get profits, which means that you cannot have an annual profit share or have an annual dividend or all of those things. So so the major thing to bear in mind is what you do with the money in a social enterprise. But it is legal for an organization, even a non-profit, to make money. So a lot of non-profits are pivoting into the model of social enterprise instead of using the contemporary donation-driven or fundraiser or grant writing approach. So, so I think we'll have to depend on 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 we'll have to depend on Blessing for recording from this meeting, but I forgot to record. But I would I'll try to do that on my end as well now. But I really don't know how to use Skype, so it's hard. I don't know where to find the record button. Oh, sorry. If you know how to record on, okay, I think we'll just depend on Blessing for this recording. So Blessing, you can share the recording with me after the class. So back to what I was saying, that the whole idea of social enterprises is thinking about how you can make money. So there are three different approaches different people use. So contemporary non-profits, they say they're a revenue generating non-profit. What that means is that your non-profit organization can generate revenues, but if you're using that revenue to pay staff and pay your head cost and keep your organization running, it is legal. A typical example is mosques and churches. mosque and churches are non-profit organizations. Under the Nigerian law, they are registered as a CSO or as a non-profit. They are registered as an incorporated trustee, which is same as NGOs, and they make money, right? People apart from people donating in terms of their offerings and all the likes, churches now sell clothes, some sell books, some sell all sort of things, and some churches even have a business and also so it's okay for you to make those kind of money, but you have to be open and accountable with it. You have to it has to be to further the mission. So there was a class I took sometime last year, the church's approach to nonprofit management, which is which is a very interesting thing to actually consider. If you are running a nonprofit, I think you should actually study the church's approach to nonprofit management. Churches have been said to be one of the most sustainable nonprofit organizations in the world or across the world, and if you can try to master some very successful church models, then you can actually run a very good organization. And I've been thinking about that. I'm actually working on a paper. I've been working on it. I have a working paper on that since last year. Basically thinking about what churches do that contemporary nonprofits don't do. Why do they get so much of donations? What drive those donations? A belief in the deity, right? Or what fulfillment do they get in return for donating? What are the emotional attachment that makes people to donate to churches? What are the value proposition? What are the value back guarantee that drives that that drives all of those things? I hope I've not just been talking to myself. Please, can you guys hear me? Please, if you can hear me, just wave so that I'll be sure. Because someone just wrote a message now that they can't hear me.
I can hear you.
Okay, good.
I can hear you too.
Yeah.
Just
So,
started
I can hear
hearing
you.
like ago. I
Yeah.
wasn't here.
but Blessing is recording for us, so she's going to share after. So, as I was saying, so it's important we begin to think about how 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 do this how churches run, and if you really critically study some churches that are very corporate in nature, like Harvest House, Pastor Pojo Image's church, Daystar, you can actually really build an organization based on their culture and practices. Those churches are very formal in their working principle. They like in Harvest House, for instance, workers are entitled to normal annual leave like corporate workers do, and you apply for it. So you can say you won't be in church for 1 month, or you won't be working or serving in church for 1 month, or and you can split that 1 month over the course of the year as well. So there are a lot of things. So this is from an academic angle. I've just been researching on what this category of non-profits do differently, and I think by the time I'm done with that work, we should be able to share a lot of insights as to the future of social entrepreneurship and how to run sustainable organizations. So so what I want you to take out of all of this is, at this stage of your idea development, of your organizational development that some of you had expressed, you need to now start thinking, how can this idea make income? Or what can I do to generate money for all of this? And I want you to take it as practical as possible. If you're going to be the type that would generate a product, then sell that product, or you want to be the type that would empower people to create products, then they sell the product, or maybe you would just write a guide or a manual that summarizes all your best practices into books for other practitioners to use. How can you generate money from what you're already doing, or from what you do best? That's the question that social entrepreneurship is asking. I like to always use Kwejo as an example. her passion was to train traditional birth attendants. But from training traditional birth attendants, she realized that we can provide kits to mothers who do not have access to sterile maternal kits, or who are giving birth in places where sterile instruments are not available. And she decided to create a business out of that. And she did the marketing and the pricing such that it is affordable to those people. And that is how the world is thinking right now. So there has to be a financial model to it. There has to be a revenue, something that helps to generate money. So as I'm thinking about my next product, the Impact Toolbox, I'm at that phase as well where I'm crushing numbers and thinking of how can we make this generate money? Should it be subscription based? Should it be bundle based? Should it be lifetime subscription and all of those things? So it's important that you should think about that right now. So I'm going to share my screen with you, and I'll be sharing. I'll be showing you what we are going to be using, which is basically a just a canvas, um, which is basically just a um, canvas. Many of you might have been familiar with this already. So it is called the business model Canva, and I'm gonna send this to you just after the class. Basically, it has all of these components, and this has been well described in this paper to help you understand what each segment is about or what they are asking. So, and another thing is that you have all these things already from all that we've done. So all I'm asking you to do is just basically bring everything that you have together now and create this canvas with it. So what do you do? What is your value proposition? How do you do it? Who will help you? What do you need? What will it cost? How much will it make? How do you interact with people? How do you reach them? Who do you help? So basically what you've done all of this. So I will just make it clearer so that you will understand a bit more. So when we talk about customer segment is about who are you trying to reach? What are the different categories of customers or clients or people that you're trying to reach? So for instance, Zozo Networks has two customer segments. Our first customer segment are the teenagers in secondary school. Our second customer segment is are people like you, and our third customer segment are the organizations that we serve in terms of consulting. So so we have three customer segments. The way we interact with these three customer segments is different. The way we communicate with the three customer segments is different. Like our emails and our online publicity is not targeted towards our secondary school students. The bulk of the work that we do with the secondary school is on the ground. So we take letters to their schools, we walk into their schools, we do all of those. So that is how we interact with them. That's how we interact with them in a less formal approach. And how do we reach them? We reach them by walking into their schools and through one-on-one approach. For you guys, we use e-channels, right? So what channels do you use for different people, for these different customer segments? Another one that I think I think I should explain is revenue stream. How which of these programs makes money, which one does not make money. We want to know how it will make money and which one will not make money, or how much will each of them make. You don't have to be, you can just tell us how you intend to price each of your outputs. What will it cost? We want to know your cost structure. Tell us the major things that you have to invest into. And if you really do this with all your heart, you realize that it will help you to actually pay attention to a lot of things that you don't pay attention to. And when we ask about cost structure, this should include all the things that you get both in kind and in cash. Those things you pay for and things you don't pay for, things you already have and things you don't have already. So so here is the canvas. The last page here is the canvas, and it's basically asking you for the same thing I've explained, and it has some questions to prompt you. So this will be your assignment for this week, and we would like you to generate a business model using this canvas. Another thing that I think would be helpful is for you to also, I have a DIY template for theory of change as well. So for some of you that might still be struggling with your theory of change, or maybe you want to refine your theory of change, I will share that template with you as well. So you can use that to rethink your theory of change and maybe create your theory of change in a more um, logical way. Someone called me and I lost the screen I was sharing, but I hope we got that. So that would be everything I plan to cover today. I'm trying as much as possible to not overload you with information and assignments per week. I want to believe that this is something you can do within a short period of time, and I with the whole situation going on in the world right now, the least the worst I could do is to add to the things you already have to think about in terms of trying to adjust to this crisis. So play around with this model very well, dedicate time to it as much as possible, and I believe it will serve you well. So that will be all for today. I'm open to general discussions now, questions, clarifications, anything you don't understand about what we've covered today, and that you would like us to cover. And sorry
Thank
that
you,
my
sir.
voice is low. So I'm no longer in my own apartment. I am with a couple of people here, and I don't want to disturb them. So that's why my voice might be a bit low.
Good evening,
Good
sir.
evening, sir.
Good evening, everyone. So I know by now I know everybody's voices. I know that's David's voice, so I cannot see anything popping up. And I know
Okay,
Toby
okay.
was trying to talk. Am I right? Is that David?
No, this is Tosin.
Oh, sorry. I thought I got. Hi, Tosin.
Yes, sir. The one thing that just happened now is that some of us just joined the class. We have been struggling with joining the class. So I don't know. Maybe you give us a recap, or maybe you have the record. I don't know.
So,
How is that?
so the good thing is that Blessing recorded for us. So she will
Okay.
upload the recording maybe on WhatsApp or on Canvas site later.
And she will do that on WhatsApp, sir.
Yeah, I'll ask her to. I'll ask her to send it to me. Then I can probably edit a bit. Then upload
Okay,
it
sir.
on either LinkedIn, I say LinkedIn, YouTube, use it large. Then I can send the link to you guys on WhatsApp.
Good evening, sir.
Thank you, sir,
Good
for
evening.
that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
This is Fuad.
Oh, how are you?
I'm fine. Please, I would like to, concerning some of these materials we shared, the
Yeah.
do-it-yourself toolkit about this class you just finished off with and the theory of teaching you actually talked about.
Yeah.
I was going to ask a question. about that also. Because for all of the classes you've actually taken us, sometimes we might need to, it's not, of course, it's not like I'm insinuating that what you are teaching or what we are being taught in the class is not enough. But of course, sometimes we might want to leave
Hello.
I can see
I
for
no,
hello.
I didn't hear the last part. I didn't hear the last part. What did you say?
What I'm saying is for all of the classes you have been taking and for this present class, is it
Yes.
possible for us to share hello
Yeah, for us to share what? It's breaking.
for you to share to help us through with reference material and key materials that will be of help to us.
Ah, God, I didn't get that, sir.
Message. I'll send message.
Okay.
I think message will be better.
Okay. So another thing that um another thing I would say generally, just on a general note, is that after all of this is over, I'm going to be sending you guys a lot of things, which will be everything we've ever used for this class, and every necessary links that you need to keep developing your idea. Another thing I think a lot of people are not taking advantage of is that all the materials we've ever used so far for all the classes, they are all on they are all on Canvas, and they are all on Canvas, and they are all they are all available for you to download there. All the reading materials, everything, all the things I've said, all of them have a reference on Canvas already. So if you go to our Canvas site, you'll be able to download all of them, and all the new things that I'm sharing, I would upload them as well. Like all these Canvas, all these um DIY DIY materials for theory of change and for business plan, business model. I will I'll put everything on Canvas. But then another thing is that try to not just listen to me to just gain for yourself, but try to also try to see how you can do this for other people. So I was expecting, I intentionally used the website of DIY. I have the material on my phone, but I decided to use their website so that you can actually see where I got it from. And I saw some people already got the site. So on the DIY toolkit site, you can download a lot of toolkits from theory of change to business plan to strategic planning and all of those things. And I heavily depend on DIY. I've used it for so many clients and it has never really failed me. So I believe that, so if you're venturing into consulting, you should actually go to DIY. They have a lot of stuff. So I'm going to start answering questions now. I've seen the first question from Fatoye. He said I should clarify the idea of a founder who is on the board of directors earning or not, sir. So according to Nigerian CAC, Corporate Affairs Commission, according to their bylaws, according to their bylaws, a member of the board of trustees for an incorporated trustees is not allowed to get paid. So if you're doing incorporated trustees are NGOs, basically you are not allowed to, any member of your board of trustees are not allowed to get paid. For limited liability companies or limited by guarantee, they can get salary. They can get a share. For limited by guarantee, limited by guarantee is just a it's just like an hybrid registration. Hybrid in the sense that it combines the privileges of a limited liability company with the privilege of a non-governmental or incorporated trustee organization. So what you have is, you have the privilege of waiving taxes on donations and grants, and you have the privilege of filing the taxes for for as a member. So that way, a lot of it gives you a chance to actually really oh my god, it gives you guys mute if you're not just you're destroying our recording. So it gives us it gives you that opportunity to to be able to do to work both as an NGO and as a limited at the same time. Um, and back to your question. So if you're registering as an NGO and you're a member of the board of trustees, which means that the organization is registered in your name, then you are not allowed to get paid. Like Zozo Networks, for instance, I'm not part of the member of its trustee. I'm more or less like an employee at Zozo Networks, though I'm the founder. The board consists of three main guys, and they don't get paid. For me, I get paid when I want to. Sometimes I used to get paid regularly before I traveled. So it depends on what you foresee yourself, the kind of capacity that you have at the moment as a person. If you think you can forego the salary and still do the work, then you can be on your board. But if you think you want to get paid legally, underline the word legally, and you you want to work for the organization, then you should not be on the board of your trust. You should not be on the board of your trustee, but you can be chairperson of your advisory board if that works. But you cannot be the chairman of that organization. I don't know if I've answered your question and still get paid. At least based on Nigerian's law till date. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. You have.
Yeah. So the second
Thank you very much.
the second question I've answered. I would send the materials to Canvas so you can go there and download it. Someone also wants me to clarify the income part for organization members, which I've done as well. So basically, um, what I advise my clients.
Hello, sir.
Okay, please go ahead.
Yes, sir. You remember I discussed something with you about the how we raised the issue of monetizing our product with my team, and since it's a team, and fund is sensitive. So how will you balance that? I think is it still part of the registration that we clarify all of that?
So there is a class that I'm going to be taking on managing on team members and managing your board, managing volunteers, and managing teams. It is important that when you are signing up people to join your team, or when you're bringing people to join your team, that you take things as legally as possible. Now, let me just say this before I answer your question. Generally, Omotoba Majene Sham Sham at Kekere, Omotoba Majasham at Kekere Saman Jene Sham Sham. For those that don't speak Yoruba, what that means is that a child that would be smart would be acting smart from childhood. So an organization that is going to be very strong in terms of its corporate capability should actually have that orientation from the beginning. And 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 with that said, it means that you should start building in all the corporate structures and legal structures that you want for your organization right from the start, or right from now. Today is not too late to start. One of the best things I ever did for the Zozo Networks, which kind of affected a lot of other organizations that I became a part of or that I founded, was that I forced Zozo Networks to transform from a friends club to a structured organization. Perhaps Zozo Networks would have died if it had remained the way it was when it started. However, the culture did not change. We are still like one big family. We still support each other. You can't tell difference between staff and volunteer. like everybody's just happy and everybody gets a value back for the work that they do. But we know where we draw the line. We know where we draw the line in terms of friendship and what is corporate or what the organization deserves. So it is important that you draw that line from the very beginning. When we started, we're all friends. We meet in my apartment then, and I started introducing a couple of rules. When you are going to miss meeting, send an apology. If you're not going to make a meeting, send a notice 48 hours before. And I started introducing all those structure. A lot of people left the organization actually. Some came back, some did not, but some came back after they saw the progress. Some did not bother to come back, and you will lose people. But the best thing you can do for your organization is to begin to introduce that sense of formality and that sense of business to it from the beginning. So let it be a common practice for you to sign contracts. Let it be a common practice for you to sign non-disclosure agreements, even at the idea phase. I signed an NDA with someone about 4 days ago for an idea that we are just cooking up. So it does not matter if it has grown, if it has not blown yet, or sign an NDA, sign a contract. And I'm saying some of these things because I've learned obedience through the things I suffered. I have developed projects that have gone ahead to be successful, but I don't have my name to them again just because I was naive or I was too excited to work on those projects. I developed a project that later got adopted by the French government, and at the end of the day, I realized that I'd just been used because I developed the idea because I love to develop ideas and I was excited about that project that I did not sign any form of contract. I did not sign any form of NDA, and someone just took it and used it and went ahead with it. So for you to avoid not losing friends, for you to avoid like that person that took that idea and went, we don't talk again till today, like we fought, and the person would have been a very resourceful friend, or I would have been also resourceful to the person, but we killed that possibility of having a future together because I I I made a mistake of not enforcing the law, or of not making things straight from the beginning. So it's not so that you hurt your friends, but I know bringing idea of being legal, people think you're proud or you're somehow what's even wrong with you, what's all the protocol and bureaucracies and all. But it is on a long run, it is more helpful terms of helping you to actually secure your friendship. Just let people know what it is and what is not. And even as normal people, I kind of believe that you should start putting a price to your presence or your time, even as a person. So if don't let people just pick your brain for nothing. If people are going to pick your brain, then let it be in a formal structure. Like all of you guys are allowed to pick my brain, and you are the only set of people that I'm allowing to pick my brain for free this year. And I know that I've created Saturdays and Sundays in my calendar throughout this whole period for you to do that. So I spend my time doing other things, and I know that the time I have to spend with you guys, I am with you guys, and you can pick my brain. But I've kind of put a value and a price on on um on picking my brain, or the time I spend. And what taught me that is the first time I ever got paid for talking to someone for 30 minutes. I was shocked. I was like, wow, the same talk I talk to people like I think it was some years back. I was just in Abuja, and I met this lady, and she was like, "Oh, we need to talk, blah blah blah," and yeah, I'd like you to consult for me on an idea, blah blah blah. And I was like, I can't do that for free. She was like, sure. How much do you charge per hour? And jokingly, I was just saying jokingly, yeah, actually, I charge like 200K per hour. And she was like, oh my God, I can only afford 30 minutes. Is that okay? I was like, yeah, send me the account. And I sent her an account, and she sent 100K for 30 minutes. I was like, whoa, Sam, this good. Oh my God. So that girl was the one that caused problem for every other person. Because after that happened, I just realized uh, a value that I had not priced. And basically, what did I tell her? Basically, just sharing my experience. So you never know the worth of your experience. And this is something I told K Factor when he started thinking about writing a book. I was like, no, just write your story. It's worth it. People will buy it. They will buy it. You never know how good your story is until you put it out there. So until you put it out there, so it's like cool. You begin to formalize things, so you can give people access to your life for free, but let it be formal. In fact, if someone is going to say, "Come and work for me for free," cut them an invoice. Tell them that it is worth my time is worth 200,000, but I'm going to give you an 100% discount. Then you don't have to pay. Then you send them an invoice. So, except they are maybe core family members. But even if you are doing it amidst yourself, so if Oyinda is going to do something um for Obasanjo for free, send an invoice to Obasanjo and let him know the worth of what you've given to him. So that way people appreciate you more, people understand what you've done for them more. It is not formality, it is just how things should be. So if you're going to be making money, if you're going to be sharing profits, let it be clear of on how profits would be shared. It helps your organization to be successful. So like now I'm in the US and I have a business in Nigeria. My partner is in Nigeria. We already have bylaws on how decisions should be made. We already have bylaws on what we will approve and what we approve, and how we share profits with the different people that, oh my god, with the different people that we work with. So that's like, so the more formal you get, the better your organization is structured, and the more your organization is structured, the better its chances of surviving. Any other question? I hope I answered your question. Any other one? Any other question? Hello guys, questions? So Obasanjo is asking a question. Must a volunteer contract be drawn by a legal counsel? If not, how simple can a volunteer contract be? Because we at Brace Up the Young. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, this is for another class, but I understand you might need this earlier than earlier than um earlier than we cover it. So it does not need to be overtly legal, but it is important that you create a structure for it. So I hope by sharing a story of how, wait, who asked the question? That's Obasanjo. Obasanjo, I don't know, you volunteered for Zozo, right? So you know the process we take. Basically, you go through an application phase and an
Yes, sir.
interview stage. Then you go through a test. Then you finally now you will now be finally accepted. Then you will go through a 3 weeks training. Then some people will still be cut away during the 3 weeks training based on their performance, and the final draft will be after the training. Now that's like 4 or 5 cumbersome tests. I know some of you will have been like, Kilo Day, employment itself is not that hard. We take it more seriously than employment, because in fact, what we take our volunteers through, we don't take people that we intend to employ through that level of rigorous step, because we know that there is an incentive for anybody that is getting employed, which is parents, to cooperate with us. But for a volunteer, we want to be sure that this person really wants to do it. So the online application, to start with, is to scare you away. The intention behind the whole structure of our volunteering system is to scare people away and to let only people who really want to be a part of it. Because if you volunteer with Zozo Networks, you realize that you're actually getting more than you're giving, and that's something. And that's something that that we are always proud of. We give to volunteers more than they are giving back, because the work you're asked to do is somehow seasonal, or 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 somehow just something simple. But the network and the knowledge and the things you gain are far more enriching than maybe what some volunteers give back to us. But we are happy to do that. So we want to be sure that whoever we are giving these gifts to is worth it. So that's why we created that long process to ensure that by the time you even um get to become a volunteer eventually, you will appreciate the opportunity, and it will not be like, "Ah, I'm just helping them," but you will see that you fought your way into it. So the questions are basically to just scare you away at the initial phase, scheduling you for interview and all of those processes. So for us, the contracts. The reason I'm saying this, Obasanjo, is that it is more psychological than legal in its build up. It is more psychological. It's pre-programming. So we actually like pre-programming you for the next phase. Now, for our contract is what comes when you basically all what our formal contract is what you get in your appointment letter that we sent. I don't know if you got one, but it kind of states what we expect of you, and what you'll be
Yes, I
doing
did.
and what you'll be getting, and you sign it. So that's basically um, and that's basically what it is. The next step that we plan to introduce later this year is a non-disclosure agreement that each volunteer will be signing, which means that you're not allowed to share our ideas with other people. You're not allowed to share whatever we are planning with other people, except we give you consent to do so. So basically, that's another form of legal um, legal structure that you can bring into it, or legal documentation that you can bring to it. But I don't. It's not a big deal. It's something you can just type up a letter and let your a lawyer or your legal advisor um, do that. I'm going to try to share my screen to show you what a letter from the social networks look like. Ideally, I should take permission for this, but I would still do it anyways, and I just believe that whatever we share here is whatever we share here remains anonymous, remains confidential rather. So I will ride on that wing and see if I can share with you, although it's hard to find. Shit. Just give me 1 second. I need to look for it. Mm. The thing is, I'll have said I'll share it with you later, but it's not also something I can share. So I would advise you give me just a couple of minutes to look for it on the drive. I'll have to log into Zozo Networks Google one and share it with you. From there. Well, I'm happy to answer other questions while I look for that. So I'm going to be answering. I saw someone's question now. So I'm going to be answering that. Volunteers. Okay, I found one.
Sir, is
Yeah.
there a technical issue to participating on this Skype call? Because Adekomi is actually talking about having issues with getting into the call and every other thing.
I think so. I think there is I think it has a limit. I think so. I think it has a limit. That's
Wow.
something I'm realizing now. So we would maybe against the next class we'll figure out a better platform. I will see if I pay for Skype, maybe we can use it for longer. Or I'll try to see if I can pay for Zoom and see if we can use Zoom instead for a longer period. Or if we can use Zoom for a longer period.
Think college, you know.
So I think it's because we are there. It has. I think it can only take 10 people per time. So I'm just gonna share my screen with you now. But I believe Blessing, are you still recording?
Yes, I am.
The recording
Okay,
is
good.
going on.
So we can always share the recording. So I'm sharing. I've just shared my screen with you. So this is what a typical letter of. So we this is a typical letter of appointments for our volunteers. So basically, as an introduction of everything we do, the work that we do, and all, and it has a um, a list of um, what we want you
Hello,
to
sir.
note. Yeah.
Sorry, sir. I'm not getting all what you are sharing on the screen, sir. I don't know why.
Wait. Okay. Give me 1 second.
Same here. I can't see.
Yes, sir. Please check your video connect, your video button. It seems it's switched off. So we can only see your picture. We cannot see the video.
Oh, I see. Sorry about that. See, I'm not technologically savvy. Yes. Okay, now share screen. So can you see my screen now? Can you see now?
Yes, I can. Oh, yes,
So
brother.
Yes, yes,
sorry about that.
yes, I can now.
Yeah, sorry. I'm just getting used to this technology. Man, guys, your speaker. Okay, your microphone rather. So, like I was saying earlier, this is a simple letter. This is a draft of what the letter of appointment looks like. It has all the work that we do. Who is this now? Can someone mute this person for us? Okay, so this is this is this is a typical letter of appointment. So it has everything that we do, and on the last line of this first page, you will see that it has where the person will be working. We are glad to offer you a place in our volunteer program to serve in our monitoring and evaluation units. So I'm sharing gold zone because you guys know gold already. So 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 working in our monitoring and evaluation units, and these are the key things that you should kindly note. Can you guys see the screen, please? Someone is still saying I can't see the screen, so I'm wondering.
Yeah, yes, sir. We some of us can see it too.
Yes, I can see the screen too.
Okay. So it has please kindly note the following. Volunteer session will start at close of date 7 January 2023. It will last for 1 year. You are expected to serve as for a minimum of 30 hours a month. Your volunteer service is worth 1,000 naira per hour. By the end of the year, you would have donated a minimum of 360,000 naira to the Zozo networks in kind. Um, you will participate in our online monthly self-development tasks and quarterly trainings. You are expected to participate in all fundraising campaigns, blah 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 blah. You are expected to play active roles in a community or project team you'll be assigned to. You'll be expected to submit a detailed report of your activities after this period. So basically, it's just a way of clearing it out that this is what we expect from you throughout the 1 year. So it is clear and the person understands the commitment and they are going to sign. So there is remuneration. And I'm using this to also answer the other question about what are the incentives that you give your volunteers. So these are all different incentives that we give our volunteers. Remuneration and benefits. Volunteer will be given 10% of the amount they raise. Volunteers are to keep records and request refund of any amount spent while carrying out an organizational task. We don't expect you to use your money for us, so pay you if you spend any money while doing our work. Except the mentoring part. If you're mentoring a child, we don't expect us. You should not expect us to pay you for that. It's a commitment that a member of this organization should be able to give, because that's why we exist in the first place. And if you don't have that mind to selflessly mentor another person, then you're not fit to be a part of the organization. So we'll give you certificates and duly signed letter of accomplishments. We used to have that, we'll give reference letters, but people abused it. So we'll just give a general certificate and duly signed letter of accomplishments. So you can present that anywhere you need to. The Zozo networks would connect and create a platform for blah, 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 professional opportunities and fellowships and training. You will receive a donor certificate from the Zozo network. So we don't just see you as a volunteer, we also see you as a donor, in the sense that you are donating your services to us in kind. And remember that we've made it clear here that your service is what is valuated at 360,000 naira per year. So it is expected that each of our volunteers donates 360,000 in kind to the organization every year. And they are expected to participate in fundraising, each person raising 50,000 naira, but nobody will kill if you don't raise that. But we try to encourage people. And the way we do that is that we don't just tell them go and look for 50,000 naira. We create campaigns, we create programs, we make it fun and easy for them to be able to do it. So I hope that's clear. Any other question? Hello? Hello? Any other question?
Sir, good evening.
Hello, hello.
Yeah, good evening.
I think there is a pattern maybe not on this platform now. If there is any material you can refer, instead of the trustee getting paid, and what the role a trustee can play as maybe an executive member and every of those other things. Any document that can fully or comprehensively clarify all of those.
Go to CAC website.
Okay.
Go to CAC's website. It's on their website. I'll try and look for it as well. But go to CAC's website. It's on their website.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's on their website. Or you can talk to all these lawyers that help in registering organizations. But it's available on CAC's website as part of the regulations for registering a company in Nigeria. Next question. Any other question? Any other question?
I don't have any other question.
Okay, so I think I've answered everything. So I would upload
Good evening, sir.
materials. I'll upload all the material, all the stuff I shared today on Canvas, And I would work with Blessing to share the video of today's class with you guys, and I would work towards seeing how we can use. I know a lot of you don't like Canvas, so I will see how we can make Skype work for everybody, or maybe we will try Zoom next week. Yeah, someone wants to say something.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
I wanted to find out about the registration thing. For someone that is running a social enterprise, I was thinking, would it be best to register the organization as a limited company or as a non-profit?
Okay, that's a very good question. Which I get asked every time, especially by some people on this group. I think like 2, 3 people on this group had asked me earlier, and my answer is that yes or no. I don't know which. Um, um, the thing about startups is that many a times we use the lean startup approach, which is where what we are getting into by asking you to work on your which is getting you which we are getting into basically to start thinking about creating a business model for your idea. Lean startup approach is about starting small, or starting the way with what we call the least viable product, or minimum viable product, or least viable product. What LVP means basically is what is the simplest, or what is the smallest way this idea can start. How can you launch this idea in the smallest or simplest or the least viable way? So for lean startup approach, it is encouraged that you start your idea up with the least viable product. Then as you begin to grow that idea, or you begin to serve your consumers or clients or customers with it, you can begin to grow it and adapt it to your consumer base. So the things you're going to be changing as you grow will be informed by your clientele or by your consumers, which is where we started from, talking about human-centered design, right? So, but instead of just carrying out an interview and stopping there, or creating a perceived need, or creating a theory of change, now we are getting to a stage where we want you to now start it as little as possible, or in its minimal phase. Create the model, launch it, then begin to grow it based on the realities that you encounter and face. That's what lean startup approach. And I'm saying that to create a context for how I want to answer the question you ask. So for a lot of lean organization, or for a lot of lean startups, you do not know what you shall become yet. And we don't want you to create a legal structure for what you have not yet become. So it's okay for you to become, for you to register it properly when it has become what it ought to become. But that organization will not be able to operate except it's registered, right? So you want to register it in the least viable way, which legitimizes it as the least viable product. So, and the least possible way to register a company in Nigeria is to register it as a business name, which will cost you about just 10 to 15,000. So even if you decide to abandon that name or abandon that idea, you've not lost a lot of money. Have I answered your question? That is one. The second way to look at it also is that for every other form of registration, maybe an NGO or a liability, a PLC, public liability company, or any other way you want to register the idea, you will need a board of trustee. Now, many a times, people just get people on their board just for the sake of registration, and those people are often not useful. Because you just need people to register with, you tend to choose people that are available to you, not people that are useful to you. And your board, for your organization to grow, you need people that are useful to you, people that can bring money to the table, people that can bring technical support to the table, people that can go out there and speak for you, people that are available for you. So if you don't select the right set of people, your organization will not grow as it should grow. So it is, and also the third thing is that you have to be accountable to your board of trustees and to your advisory board. You can't just change things easily. They need to approve every of your move legally. That's the way it should work legally. But as a lean startup, you want to have that flexibility to be able to adjust within a day, to be able to adjust to a new customer base within a week without having to take permission from anybody. So that is why it is more flexible if you use the least viable product approach. That just register it as a name for now, so that you can have a bank account that people can donate or make payment to. Then grow your idea for like the next 2-3 years or 4 years to a level where you've made a lot of impact, you've made a lot of traction, and you've made a lot of income that you can dictate the terms of the people you bring on board. So if you like for instance, I'll use Help Mom as an example. Help Mom is just about 2-3 years old, or Money is also about 3 years old, and they've generated a lot of traction and a lot of impact that anybody is currently attracted to work with them. So they can now choose who they want on their board or not who is available. And they now know, they've practiced this idea, they've tested it out, they now know what they should stand for. That's why they've pivoted through different approaches and through different models. Have I answered your question?
Thank you, sir. You've answered it, but I think it leads to another one. Okay, so I'm someone that believes that when preparation meets opportunity, success is inevitable. And I've found myself in a position whereby we've applied for some opportunities, global opportunities. Some are incubation programs and all that. And part of the requirement is that your company is registered as a limited company. So in such instances, are we going to say that based on your response that not all opportunities are for us yet? Or how do we go about that?
So let me I don't know, I'm not sure about what I'm about to say, but from my experience, which is also little, a lot of organizations don't actually ask for the type of registration. They just want to know, are you registered with the government? Now, a lot of grants making organizations are the ones that specify if you are a non-profit or you are a business enterprise. I kind of feel that's the distinction people those organizations always try to make. They always try to know if you are a non-profit or a for-profit organization, and it will help them to know the kind of mechanism they will use to fund you. Or there are some organizations that are not just interested in funding a for-profit idea, so they are looking for non-profit, like ACT, US Embassy. They will never fund an organization that is registered as a business. They want an organization that is registered as a non-profit. So for many organizations, that's the distinction I think they are trying to make. And it is not if you're registered as a limited or as a business name. For you to get registered as a limited in Nigeria is about 70,000 or sometimes 75. But I don't think anybody that is out there to fund a startup is not looking at funding a limited. Do you want to know how many businesses that are just business names? Budget is a business name, not an NGO. It is of recent that they started Civic Hive, that they registered that as an NGO. But Budget started as just a business name, not even a limited. Mother's Delivery Kit started as a business name. Till date, Help Mom is a business name. Help Mom has won a lot of grants, and they even won the Google Impact Challenge, and it is just a business name. Google Impact Challenge is designated for non-profit organization, but Helpmom had been able to show clear impact, and it is obvious that this organization, though it is a business name, they are making impact. So it is like very, very clear. The trick that a lot of people now do is to register a foundation along the side, or register two different businesses, one as a non-profit and one as a for-profit. But that's something you can do over growth. And I know a very good example is Mama Money. I don't know if you guys know Mama Money in Lagos. Mama Money was just Mama Money, and it was a business name till about a year and a half ago, when she started Mama Money Foundation to be able to access other kind of grants and funding. But despite she was a business name, the US Embassy still made a compromise to fund her as an individual. So it's all about the power of your impact. If you're able to generate a lot of impact that causes traction, people will work with you regardless. But registering as a business name gives you a lot of advantage. You can make money, you can spend your money as you wish, you can get seed capital and all of those. But I accept maybe very few, like very, very few competitions will ask you to be registered as a limited. And if they ask you to be registered as a limited, then you should not be considered as a startup. So I think
I thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. I don't know whether you have knowledge about this. I'm thinking somebody just mentioned it some times ago that I don't know if it's possible. Is it possible that they upgrade account from maybe you register as a business name or limited and you upgrade it to NGO? Is there anything like that, sir?
So what a lot of banks are doing now is a corporate account is a corporate account. Some before. So let me use my experience. Zozo Network has an account with Union Bank and with Zenith Bank. And for the one at Union Bank, we registered it as an hybrid account for SMEs, for small and medium scale accounts, which is basically just a savings account for businesses. It was a special product they were offering when we registered, and it was like that for a while. Then for Zenith Bank, we registered as a community organization, which was also a segment of banking that they had at the time. And those two segments of banking allows you to, like the one for Union Bank, you do not even need to have a trustee information a trustee what's it called now, authorization to register for it. You can just register as a community organization. The same thing goes for Zenith Bank. But in recent years, all of them have changed their policies. And now what they have, at least from these two banks, which I know is also true for Access and GT, they now say a corporate account is a corporate account, which means that if your organization has a corporate account, it is the same even with a limited a PLC with a PLC with an account. So it is just corporate account. The difference is now how you file your taxes at the end of the year. So how much you will pay FIRS may differ as a non-profit and as a PLC. How much you would in terms of taxations, but the banks now treat everybody as the same. I think from my own experience, from what I've seen so far, a corporate account is a corporate account. But you can I don't know if some banks still offer those specialized products for community organization or those kind of hybrid products. I don't know if they still do. But what I have experienced from Union Bank and Zenith Bank is that they just upgraded all the accounts to corporate accounts. So they have corporate accounts now. I don't know if I've answered your question, Tosin.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm okay, sir. That's good, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Any other one? Any other question?
All right. Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Yes, mine is not a question. I just want to get clarity.
Okay.
You earlier mentioned that when you register as a limited, you are no longer a startup. Okay, I want to get it very clear. Is it that startups, they are known to register as business names? Then when you upgrade to limited, you now become a company and leave the startup stage?
No.
Okay.
But what I mean by that is, this is a very good question, and so let me clarify by that. So by some unwritten rule, based on the lean startup approach, it is expected that you should be called startup for just the first 3 years of your life, of your lean approach life. That by the end of the third year, you should have mastered your craft and you should be able to work as an entity that knows what it's doing. The reason why we call startups is that there is a tendency they would fail. There is a tendency they will pivot. There is a tendency that they would change their approach. There is a tendency that they are still learning the market. So that's why we call them startup, because you're just starting them up from the scratch. However, you can start up and register directly as a limited, because there are some ideas that you cannot even register as a business. You need to have a whole lot of, like, for instance, if you win a competition and you're getting equity funding, you cannot register as just a business name. You have to register as a public liability. And I think this might be what Larry was also talking about in terms of those kind of competition. So if it's businesses that will acquire you to share equity and all of those things, then you may have to register as a limited, because the largest shareholders have to be on the board. So the highest shareholder will be the chairman, or will have the ability to choose who the CEO will be, which, despite you are the founder of the organization, you may end up not being selected to be the CEO of the company. You can be sacked from your own company, because the people with the highest shares would have the authority, the prevailing power over that company. So when you look at that and the complexity of that, though it might still be a startup, it has grown beyond the contemporary sense of what a startup should look like. So if you're still trying to learn and still trying to see if you would be the founder, if you want to be on the board and all of those things, if you're still experimenting with the idea and you're still trying to see where it goes, then it's safer for you to register as a business name until you have that kind of opportunity to tell you, oh, I want to give you, and I want to buy part of your company, and you will give me 40% equity, or 20% equity, or 30% equity. Then at that level, it's okay to have that conversation about registering as a public liability business. Another thing is that whoever will give you money will give you money. So it is okay for you to have that conversation at that stage, which is what a lot of people do. So you can say, we are just registered as a business name, but we are going further with this agreement. um, if we're going further with this arrangement, then we are going to have to register as a PLC so that you can have a legal claim to your 40% part of the business as a shareholder or as a member of the board. So it's okay to have that conversation, but a lot of competitions just expect that you're registered and you have a track record of doing business in that location that you're working with. I think you can always upgrade when you get um, your your um, your term sheet or your contract. I answered your question?
Yes, yes, you have. Thank you so much, Dr. Shegun.
Yeah. Okay, I think this would be a good place to stop so that the recording will be manageable in terms of editing. So I would send the materials to Canvas site. I'll also drop it on your WhatsApp. Please, guys, I want to beg that we do our assignments. Anybody that has followed all of these processes would see the fact that it's actually helping you to put everything together in a very systematic and structured way towards building up. And I can't count how many clients I've helped to actually start up new projects, new organizations, and fly new ideas using all of the things I'm teaching you.